today, particularly for today's seminar, I really, really wished that I can see you all together in person. But unfortunately, with all the circumstance and situation, we have to meet through the virtuals. But we will try our best, and I'll try my best, convey the message so that at the end of today's meeting, we can feel rested and also confidence as a parent as well. So today, I was thinking about it and preparing for this seminar over a month, right? And I was thinking about what should I focus on? Should I focus on the skills, like how to, give a consequences and reward, how to communicate, all those things that I was thinking about. Is a lot of things are, especially parenting is very, very complex, right? So hard to focus on one thing or the other to just understand about the parenting. So today, I will go with the 3 different areas that I wanted to convey as much as I can. First is, how does a brain development occur, right, in our children? The second area that I wanted to convey to our parents is how to increase or raise our children, or help our children, or increase our children's intelligence. I think that's all our parents desire, and really wanted to focus on that too. So I wanted to share that part. Lastly, then how to become more effective in our parenting. So that's how we wanted to kind of go about it. So the first one, let's think about the brain development a little bit, okay? So before we're kind of getting into the brain development, one area that I wanted to separate it here is brain and the mind. Brain and mind are different, right? So hopefully after today's talk, we can understand how to help for our children's brain development and mind development, right? But again, I'm gonna share more about that too. So think about the brain. So we have many psychiatrists, it seems like, joined on our Anchor of Hope today. So brain is more of activity, that electrical fires are constantly happening. And then at the end of the electric fires, is the neurotransmitters are shooting it and communicating within our brain. But for our children's brain development, so when you really think about it, okay, as soon as they are born, within 2-3 months, size of the brains are same as adult, but the function of a brain are not fully developed yet. However, our children's brain continue to develop, but around the age 5-ish, 90% of their brains are settled. Okay, but also think about that process. When our children are young, as soon as they are born, right, they are interacting with the parents. But oftentimes when we're looking at our children as if they know everything. In the beginning, we're helping them to be present, smiling at them, communicating with them, and creating their senses and it all, right? We are interacting with them kind of within about a year. And then after that, our children started to speak. Papa, mama, and suddenly with that word that when our children speak in one part of the brain, and then our parents are expecting, now they know. But when we really see the children's brain development, again, now I'm gonna use more of a left brain, right brain and all too, but their brain is not fully developed yet and continue to develop things, right? So when we see our children, our presence, the way our facial expressions and everything is connecting to their understanding of the word. right? So again, I'm not going to use all those technical terms like a synapses and how they are being removed when they're not using it, and then myelin happening, and then pruning. So I'm not going to use all those technical terms here, but try to understand about the brain developments more of overall, right? How they are developing it and then making it individual or a human being who can solve their own problems here. So their language parts of the brain are not fully developed. So although we use our left brain, the logic as adult, because when we see the children struggling with the difficulties and facing some challenges, we try to use our left brain a lot because we know it. Because we understand the situation, so we try to solve the problem using our left brain. But our children's younger brain, or up to the age 5 and continue, they don't understand the reason and logic yet. But everything that what they're observing it is from your expressions, how you are dealing with it in the situation. Right, so within those 5 years of brain development, 90%, everything what they use is senses, all those 5 senses. What they see directly, your face, your body language. What they hear, tone of voice that they are hearing from you, smells of it, taste of it, and then through their physical sensations. So when they're young and while their brain was developed, especially when they are upset or distressed, they're at the moment is really incapable and incompetent to solve any issues. Everything that what they want is be safe. Everything what they want is being seen. So that's why we use the reference, right? The children, when they're young, they try to kind of understand everything through their senses. It's just constantly looking and referencing their parents. Is my mom and dad are here? Is there anyone who's here to protect me? Our children, around that period of time, brain development, logic is not there. Even if we are verbalizing and try to make sense, to explain to them. But instead, the knowledge or explanation that what you wanted it to give it to them or help them to understand, what they were observing is through all their senses. Is my mom smiling when she is explaining things to me? My mom's tone of voice is calm when they are explaining things, right? So up to the age of 5, around the 90% of a brain developments, that's all they use to understand and make sense of the word. And then now that is connected inner word. Our parents sometimes coming to our clinic and saying that, okay, so how can I raise my children to be resilient, and not giving up easily, all that. But we needed to understand, probably you heard about that a lot, not only our children, we always wanted it to be seen by you or caregiver, but also be safe, right, by our parents, protected by our parents when they don't know what to do, and then terrified at the moment. Not only our parents wanted, our children wanted it to be calm when they're terrified and upset by our caregivers and parents. Through this process, they are developing this attachment from themselves with adult outer worlds. Am I safe? Is there somebody who's there for me when I'm going through the struggles? Is there somebody I can go and lean on when I'm in distress and feeling upset? And all those things together now is creating security, right? So when many research proved that secure attachment is highly correlated with secure attachment. But when we really think about the attachment, what is attachment? Again, going back to that brain development is not about solving the problem yet. It is about the relationship. Someone who I can trust, someone who I can rely on to be there, looking at them, know how to soothe them. Not constantly using your left brain as adult. But what they are strongly using sense is more of the right brain. That's why it's emotional part is more related to the right brain. But when we are looking at them while they are struggling, we are using more of a left brain. So when you're kind of facing it, their right brain is directly connected to our left brain instead of using our right brain to crossing to their right brain, because it requires a little bit more effort to do that rather than doing that, right? So attachment, again, is a very, very strong indicator for our children, even later in adulthood, developing a secure relationship with others and how to regulate their emotions when they have issues and how to solve the problem and continue to be in a growth mindset to grow, right? So that is developing it during the adult or the childhood. But after those 5 years developing their brain and setting it up in the 90%, and also attachment is occurring. And then now they're trying. After age 5-ish, their brain is now, okay, everything that what they've been observed from their parents or outer world, now they are using it. But oftentimes our parents these days is just so scared that we're trying to do everything for them. We become their brain because according to our adults' point of view, they don't know nothing. So we are trying to do everything. And when they are trying to do, and then they're referencing again for the parents, can I do this? Is that okay? Will you protect me? Will you be there for me? But suddenly what we're doing is, no, don't do that. You know, our tone of voice, again, shocking them when they are trying to do something. Around the age 5, 6, and now they wanted to do everything is mine. I will do it. I will do it. But what we are saying to our children while they're trying the things that what they observe from their parents, no, don't do that. What are you doing? Right? So it's now tone of voice, facial expression, everything is observed. Oh my God, things are very, very scary. And they will have a hard time trying something. And then now they will start to ask, Mom, can you do that for me? Dad, can you do it for me? Now, parents' point of view is so cute, right? They're asking me, oh, my baby is asking me, oh, of course I will do it. And now more and more, their inner world is not secure. They cannot do as much because my parents are superhero. They can do everything for me. And then while they're continue to developing in that way, around age 13 and 19, again, I will use that age. Please remember that age period range. 13 to 19 is the most rapidly developing in our children's brain. Yes, it's including the hormonal changes are happening, but what's happening during the time in our children's brain is use it or lose it. It's more of the pruning process. The things that it doesn't work for me, they will cut it off automatically in our brain. When you are using it, it will develop it more strongly. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So again, age 5, we're kind of developing that. Now they're trying, but our parents not allowing them to use it at all of that. And suddenly our parents say, how come you don't know how to do it? That scare feeling, insecurity, and the, some of the low self-esteem. And again, I'm not going to get into that more, but that is developing. And now 13 and 19, now they don't know what to do. A lot of children these days, what I see, who I'm seeing, is required executive function training. how to manage their time, how to prioritize, how to regulate their emotions. This is a period of time, is their pruning process. Things that what they learn, what they observe, now they're actually using it with their own. So more they use it, it will develop as a stronger the skill. If they don't use it, they will not gonna develop. Now, let's pause a little bit here then. How come my children around the 13 and 19 is still you are doing a lot of things? So just pause for a second, right? Going back to that brain development stage, especially these days, our children, our parents are so busy. Instead of looking at them, be present, what's going on, tell me about it, seems like you're anxious, you're upset, and you're distressed. What we do is giving our super nanny iPad to them, iPhone to them. Then during that development, what had happened was their visual, their auditory senses become very strong. But there's no relationship from the parents, but they now created attachment and having a relationship with these devices. What's gonna happen when they become a little bit older, around the 13 and 19 then? When they have issues, when they have distress, when they have upsetting feelings, when they have problems with their friends, will they come to us? Or will they go to Dr. Google? As much as we use the Google, oh, how can I be a better parent? They are going to the internet using those devices, get some guidance. So now they all think they don't need you. They don't need us because they have a place to go. All these years, always there for them, which was these devices. The strong attachment that will go. And then now, again, through their sensations, right? Through their eyes and the ears, they will go and then they're getting what they want. But did you know that while they're alone in their room, locking their door, they're together with many others through the social media. All our human beings, what we want is we wanted it to be accepted. We wanted it to be seen and important, especially from the important people in our lives. But during the time of that brain development, we're not present. We're not noticing. We never actually be there and just go through the challenges together with them. And then when they're ready, we can discuss instead of explaining to them what is right and what is wrong. Our left brain is constantly solving the problem. That's why we're so good at it. Do this and do that because it's so easy. Right? Our left brain is more of a doing things. And also it is more of an outer side of the world. But the right side of the brain, where it connected strongly with the emotional piece, is more of an inner. So now, let me bring a little bit about the mind here. While the activities of a brain, again, the outer world, they're receiving it, right? The terrifying moment that their bodies intensify and they don't know what to do and it's scared. And then sometimes our parents say, oh, what are you talking about? Brush it off. That's okay, you're gonna be okay. But they don't see that yet, but the whole body is experiencing an activity. The brain activity is firing up constantly. The right brain becomes very, very, very strong, while our children are developing it at all that part. So we are not being present. But mind part, while they're experiencing all this body, nervous system, emotional, unknown, ununderstood, the emotions, something that they cannot describe with their left brain verbally yet, is growing so strongly. Just think about that, right? While they're all doing that, And then left brain is not reasoning it. The mind is developing inwardly that I am not good enough. I cannot do this. Not good enough when you are really think about, I'm not good enough. I'm not competent. I'm not loved. I'm not worthy enough to be protected. I'm not worthy enough to be seen by my parents. Is subjective inner word about ourselves. That is strongly related to their identity. And that identity now started to building it up with the shame, as if I am defective, right? So brain development is wild activities and body connected to that. Mind is now developing. That mind is my inner world, my subjective experience, and my own understanding of that. So now, how can we increase and raise our children with intelligence? Right. So intelligence, we divided with the two different categories: crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence. Crystallized intelligence is developed by learning, education, reading a book, learning the skill. So that research has proved that this crystallized intelligence will continue to grow until you die. That's why our parents and our grandparents are wiser, right? Because the crystallized intelligence continue to grow. However, the fluid intelligence, where they needed to know how to solve the problem, how to face the challenges in life, is developed in the peak during that 13 and 19, the age. That 13 and 19, they will learn or they will increase fluid intelligence. When I have a problem, how can I handle it? When I have issues with my friends, I cannot keep up or I cannot make friends during the time. Right? It's all about the fluid intelligence is needed to solve it. But after the 19, what's happening in that intelligence is declining, unfortunately. So that's why some of our adults, when the new technology come out, we're struggling, we're taking longer time to figure it out compared to the younger kids. Because if you give them, they will just figure it out how to do that. It's solving the problem and quicker and faster. But after age 19, now we are just using whatever that we have up to that point and then doing it. That fluid intelligence will decline. But think about the age 19 then, they are in college. And suddenly they're going to the college, they don't know what to do. But most of parents are focusing and emphasizing on the crystallized intelligence. What grade are you getting, right? What curriculum are you doing more? What college will you go to? What is your strength? What are you good at? So all about the crystallized intelligence, you got A, oh, okay, then that's good. I'm doing it enough job. But we are not nurturing our children this fluid intelligence. So how can we make our children to be more intelligent and know how to live their lives? Is raising and increasing that fluid intelligence. Because when you are helping when we are helping our children improving on that fluid intelligence, they will use that fluid intelligence to learn and get education and go to the college and know how to engage with the people. So brain development, mind development, now how can we raise our children to be more intelligent? That, right? But think about the fluid intelligence development is not about the skill, but you being present with them. Again, same thing, same process that is happening. So then, knowing all this, how can we become more effective parents for our children? We have to pause and think about ourselves. When our children are going through the upsetting feelings or distress, and when they needed us, the way we react the way we respond is the way we observe what we learn from our parents as well. During that brain development is what we call mirror neurons. They see, monkey do, a monkey see, monkey do. That's actually happening in their brain when this brain was developed. So everything that what they saw and observed and then notice how their parents are doing it, now they're doing it too. It's the same thing. We were at the period of time that we had that brain development too, attachment development too, from our parents. When you really think about it, our parents, their tone of voice, when I make a mistake, when I have something, that their reaction is now is my reactions. So today's parenting seminar's title is, Why Don't You Listen? Haven't you felt that your parents never listened to you? Never tried to understand you? Now it become mine. And that's all I know. It doesn't matter about the knowledge that you know how to raise the children, but inner parts of your mind and your brain where the limbic system is connected so strongly. Now at the moment of the challenging moments, that's all you will use it actually. That's why we raise our voice, throwing things and spanking them, all kind of things, because that's all we know. Because we are nervous too. We are very anxious when our children are anxious. Although that's the moment that we needed to take a deep breath and then step back and know how to process that. So we are also processed or raised in that matter, and no one taught us how to regulate our emotion when we're upset and when we're distressed. Our parents are also constantly use their left brain to solve the problem, just quick. And another thing that what has formed, I notice it a lot in our sessions, our parents are miserable and agonized when their children are not doing well. And some parents, maybe not all parents, but they reflect themselves and their identity according to their achievement, their children's success. This is not only Asian parents across the world. If their children are doing well, they feel, oh, I'm a good mother and good father. But they're not doing well, suddenly it's reflected on my identity, I'm not good. And connecting that identity development when we are young, before we as a parent, our identity constantly in this society, in this culture, are guiding us. The identity has to be achieved. When you go to the school, you become a better student. When you graduated from good school, you are successful. When you are becoming a doctor or any careers that are recognizable, and then it's good. So all my identity is outer world is earned and achieved. That's the same way that we are raising our children too. Your identity is achieved. You have to earn it. If you want me to look at you, earn it. If you want me to play with you, earn it. Love and likable, worth and all that now is becoming achievable things. But in a Christian point of view of identity development is, and I also believe that this is not only Christian point of view. This is just a human need, that our identity cannot be achieved. Who you are can make it things and then making it better, but your identity is received. When your parents are looking at you and giving you, oh my God, my precious child, are you upset? That's okay, I will be there for you. It's showing that you are worthy. More you are doing that, our children's receiving from you by believing it. My parents will be there. My parents will listen to me. Even if I am in danger and difficulties, I know my parents will be there for me, which is creating it more than it is shame that I am defective, but now I am worthy because I am loved, regardless. So the identity formation in a Christian point of view, and also this has to be out there in our, educational system and everything, is identity is not achieved but received. So that in a society, in a social media and everything are telling our children, go get it. Follow your gut. Know yourself. How could they know if we didn't give them and tell them? So finding your identity will never work. We are actually creating the ground for our children to fail. They cannot find themselves because identity is not achieved, but it's received. Then, in order for us to, as a parents, to receive that being who I am, not to achieve by our children, if you are putting our children as a way that you are achieving being a parent or trophy parents, then your children will crush you. If you put in an order that whatever the achievable things that make you who you are, if that is gone, your identity is gone. Because you put so much value yourself into that. So we cannot teach our children do and a performance base of receiving who they are. The same as us as adults. Our being parents or being who we are is not by the performance of what you do, how much you earned, but being who you are. Then as a Christian point of view, what does that mean? Right? In John chapter 1, verse 12, so if you have a Bible, you can open that verse. Yet all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Believe and receive, your identity is given. You become a new person. You are new. Old is gone, new has come. Why? Because you believe in something and receiving that as a truth, and that is your solid core of who you are. Then what do we believe in? Romans chapter 5, 6 to 8. You see, at just the right time, when we are still powerless, Christ died for our ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person. Though for a good person, someone someone might possibly done to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. Okay, God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's what we believe, and we put our faith in it. If that is the truth to you, we receive it. And then God said, you're my own. You're not my child. So identity is not earned, but the received. If we believe that our children is doing it or not doing it well, but more to be present, like the God, always a presence for our difficult time and our challenging time. And he's speaking to us, he's listening to us. It's not on the performance base that you are good or bad, you are right and wrong. Please stop using your left brain and using your right brain and receiving it, listen what God is telling you. You're my own, you're my child. It's okay. It's okay. And also he said, do you know what? As much as I love you, I love your child. And I have a plan for your child. How? Because I die for that. So that you don't have to worry. So we created this space from the outer worlds of a problem. We just pause using our left brain constantly, how to solve it, how to do it, this, but wait and be still, using your right brain and receiving it, what God is telling us. If we can rest in that, God is in control. God has a greater plan for us and for our children. God has given to us this privilege to raise our children. Discipline is not a punishing our children. Disciplining is teaching our children when they have difficult moments so that they know how to do it, right? So before we become a parent or becoming a caregiver, we have to be present and enjoy that. Receive, believe, and enjoy instead of making a goal to achieve next one and earning it. Let's put the order for us to enjoy what we received already, and that is overflowing, so that I can face to face looking at our children and let them know we are there for them, as our Father God always be there for us. Okay, I will pause it here. And probably, this is just the kind of overall what we believe about the parenting, right? But understand, we have to understand the parts of our children, how they developed, how they can become a resilience in the future and know who they are and conquer the world. So kind of put together, but I wanted it to give the floor to everyone who wanted it to ask more specific questions, so that all of these things, how can we apply in a real life, right? So yes, I will stop here and maybe give it back to Dr. Esther.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mi-Jin, for that very informative, with so much information, great information on parenting. We'll head right into the Q&A at this time. And Dr. Mi-Jin and I will be the panelists for you today. So we invite you to ask questions, anything. And if time permits, we'll go through each and every one of them. You can direct message me your questions. And so I think I'll just start off one that came in even prior to this morning. Somebody submitted one because they couldn't show up today. And it might be something applicable for all the parents. What should you do when your child calls you names and consistently tells you no when asked to do things, when directives are given? So essentially, how do we deal with oppositional and defiant behaviors and attitudes? So yeah, I guess I'll start off with that a little bit, and then Dr. Mi-Jin can chime in. I feel like it's really upsetting, right? When it's a constant negative response from our child, especially when it's something very reasonable. It's a request or a directive that's very reasonable. And your child is saying no, and just challenging your authority and challenging your wisdom and your good instinct, right? So before we go into like what to do and all the tips, one thing is to check ourselves, right? What is the expectation? And they're not incorrect expectations, but we do have expectations as caregivers. The expectation that this child will respect me to know that I am wiser than you, right? So there's an expectation that's already there, that the child would have that in their heart and mind. And therefore, hey, it should be natural for you to just say yes and trust me and know that this is the best thing for you, regardless if it's a simple task or a huge decisions. So with that kind of expectation, I just want to go back to a spiritual understanding of how we, through Adam and Eve, right, said no in the beginning, and how that started all from Genesis 3. So I just want to say, you have to actually expect disobedience, because that's what everybody was born into already, right? And to be surprised at defiant behaviors, to be like offended at oppositional behaviors, we're already starting off the wrong foot, and we're gonna always be behind the children. So the reactiveness that we parents usually do, or caregivers, to this kind of behavior, it starts to become like a power struggle or argument, and we can't think on our feet in that kind of way because of our emotions. So I just wanted to talk about expectation. Like, it's a little philosophical here and there because all situations are different. And to just go a little bit further is when it, we all expect oppositional behavior once in a while, but when it's an ongoing chronic like issue, day after day, month after year, month to month, year after year, then we have to start really wondering about a deeper issue, about relationship. Dr. Mijin talked about relationship. And before even going right into what's my relationship with my child, we have to actually evaluate two relationships even before that. One would be, what was my relationship growing up with my own parents? How was I disciplined? How do they raise me? And see how that could influence how I'm thinking and my philosophy about parenting even right now. And then the second relationship is relationship between me and the Heavenly Father. I can't assume everyone has a relationship with God directly, personally. And so if you don't, that's a really great start, right? Is to meet God and to really experience this unconditional love from the Father. But yet he doesn't let us roam around and do whatever we want. He wants to have flourishing, thriving, and successful lives. And so my relationship with the Heavenly Father will give me a true, deep understanding and power of what to do in all my other relationships. And then lastly is, okay, let's analyze my relationship with my child or my children. Is it really based on unconditional love? Which I have to admit, we just can't do that naturally. But that is what we strive, or what we want. It is our prayer topic. Is my relationship with my child kind of like a factory? Like I'm a CEO and all of these are my minions and they just have to kind of do things just as I say? Or do I actually have a relationship? And I'm not saying we need to be collaborative and be best friends with our kids. Okay, that is not what we're saying, right? There has to be order, and there has to be a level of positional, right, understanding. But sometimes it's so transactional, right? Sometimes the concept of growing the relationship is not there for a lot of parents. And so I'm going to stop right there just to give you some food for thought about that question. And Dr. Mijin can chime in as well regarding this ongoing oppositional defiant behaviors from children.
Again, I think I will go back to that brain and the mind developments a little bit here. That I don't know the age of the child, but when our children are in the development in their brain, their left brain, understanding, logic, and reasoning and intention behind are not fully there. But when we are speaking to our children, we're using our left brain because we know it. We know the outcome, what could be the better, what could be the best for our children. But for us, we are quickly using our left brain and just using the solve the problem and doing things so that we can tell them what to do instead of being there. See and connect to their right brain. What is it about this that they are so tied strongly that they will say no to the point where they're calling my name out? Well, what's going on here? So instead of using, again, creating that space again, right? Externally, your child is, misbehaving, all that. Before we're jumping in very quickly with our left brain, okay. And then now they read all the parenting book and okay, that's your consequences. Your privilege taken away. We're, again, solving the problem instead, meeting them where they're at, being with them, and listen. Okay, what is this about? It seems like, because they cannot connect their right brain, the emotional part, with the left brain yet, so we have to kind of be there. Sometimes we have to name it for them. So seems like you are upset. You seems very frustrated. Is that right? Okay, so tell me about it. And that once the opening conversation is happening and connected, that they feel calm. Again, limbic system has to be calm first. I didn't use my hand model today. I've been using my hand model a lot with you in the past. So that first, their limbic system, something that frustrated them, making them nervous, making them so terrified, whatever the moments, instead of nope, right? And taking away all the consequences, just okay, be with them and let that storm to be calm first, and naming it for them because they don't know how to. So connect and then creating the reason together. Okay, I understand. Seems like you wanted to play 5 more minutes before we leave. And then your child will say, okay, I'm not judged. My parents are not so scary. It's so terrified that they will take away my, the devices at all. Now it's all about what they're doing. It is defensive because they need to protect what they're so treasuring. Oh my God, iPad and cell phone is their treasure. If you are giving them 10 carats of a diamond, they don't care. They wanted 10 minutes more of the video game. If you're taking away, what will they do? Is protecting them. And then best they could, they will attack you. So we have to calm it down. Hey, I'm not attacking you. I'm not here to become your enemy. I am helping you. So let's talk about it. And then after they calm down, and then now you use your left brain, connect to their left brain. Yes. What could be the better? You can play maybe another 10 minutes when we come back. But right now we gotta leave. Right? So now using the left brain and helping them to their left brain so that their emotion can be connected as well. Your relationship and connection with the children, not only personally, relationally, you're connecting that, but you are helping your child's brain to connect to one another instead of separated from one another. That's why when young adolescents were coming to my room, we're asking them, okay, tell me about it, right? They don't know how to describe about their feeling. Everything that what they say, I don't know. Because we never trained them to describe the situation. Make sense that emotions to their logic and reason. But we all say, shut up, or don't cry. Go away, be in your room, all that. How could they process it when they don't know yet? Yes. And then now when they become a 13 and 14 and most difficult period of time, not because of the hormonal changes, because it's rapidly developing their brain. They don't know what to do. They only use everything that what they know prior to that. Then now mom and dad always yell at them. Now they will yell at you. Mom and dad always take a privilege away. They will always do for that. But there is a never at the moments to be present and connect and their being and how to solve it. Again, the fluid intelligence, right? Solving the problem. Okay, when I'm having this upsetting feeling, my mom always calm me down first. Okay, then I have to think and talk and solving the problem. When they become adult, that's what they will do. Again, monkey see, monkey do.
I was approached by several families, during my practice, that my child was very sweet and calm and listened to me, and then something happened in elementary school, and suddenly they're just not wanting to listen anymore. So what happens in my practice, sometimes I discovered that the oppositional defiance is not the main issue, but the evaluation would show the child was struggling with something else. Many times oppositional defiant struggles is a result of something else. There are such things called comorbidities, which means there's another disorder happening, a struggle, and then comes with that this difficulty to continue to obey and follow and comply. So for example, a common comorbidity is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Oftentimes, the child, if it's uncontrolled or unmanaged, they would also show impulsive defiance. Another one is depression and anxiety disorders. Depressive and anxiety disorders often come with a mood that is so dysregulated that they cannot think there and follow the logic, right, of why their parent is telling you. They'll just react emotionally at that moment. So if depression, anxiety, ADHD, and I can name so many more, and one question came in regarding ASD, those conditions have to be addressed. And you're not alone. A lot of parents try to address it by themselves. We have resources, right? The mental health services that are available are very, very useful. So whenever families come to us or come to me, I'd congratulate them because I'm like, yay, you made it. Because now they're going to really receive some professional help that will make it a lot easier with all of the parenting skills. They have it in them. So sometimes we have to look at those items as well. Another question that came in, well, we might as well answer the one about the ASD. One of our therapists submitted this question. There's an 11-year-old child with high functioning autism spectrum disorder, gets distracted and cannot get ready in the morning by herself. Mother feels like she has to follow the child around, keep having to remind her to do everything, and feels frustrated. She started a positive reinforcement chart, but the child does not want to participate. Okay, this is exactly what I was pointing out. Easily distracted and has to remind her to do everything. Definitely deserves an evaluation for ADHD. Those with ASD have high comorbidity with ADHD, and they already have struggles about understanding feelings and understanding your intent. And then on top of that, they have ADHD. They will look like they're defying you purposely, but that is not their intent. And it's not fair to start raising our voices and say, Mommy says so, you better come right here. They're never going to understand that. So professional help with the types of therapies and behavioral therapies would be very helpful for parents if they do seek help. So that's how I would answer that question right now.
Yes, unintentionally, I kind of became a pseudo autism specialist here because these days we see a lot of young children and adults comes with the high function autism. So we needed to understand the condition first. I said it's a condition. We have to understand the condition of ASD. Again, all our human development and the young children their brain will develop it in that way. Okay, their right brain is very, very strong, right? All the senses. And the left brain is the developing it and connecting it. For our ASD, including high function autism kids, are developing a little bit differently, but more sensitive way that they are receiving it. Even if you say nope, they are hearing it, because typically autism spectrum comes with the sensory issues, right? So, but if you are saying it no, although it was just a typical, little bit of frustrated tone of voice, but our children are receiving amplifying sounds. They hear it almost like no. And on top of that, they will use all the facial expression, although they don't know exactly what that is, because they're very, very literal and very rigid and inflexible. So they're observing it as they see it. There's no intention. If my mom said, I love you, right? But the word, phrase is saying, I love you, but tone of voice and your facial expression say that, I wish you're not there, So they're receiving it in a more that way. And then now if we are approaching it more with the left brain, it will be more difficult for our autism spectrum kids. It's also neurotypical kids, the same thing. We are using it zone of proximal development. Probably some of you heard about that, the scaffolding, right? What that means, the zone of proximal development is this kind of skill that our children's, is a skill, is it too difficult for our children to master on his or her own in any difficult moments, but they can be done with guidance and encouragement. For our ASD, like high functional autism kids, including one more, not only guidance, not only encouragement, you have to demonstrate what you meant. From the knowledge of what you know. So our autism spectrum kids requires a little bit more, but when they're growing up, the emotional part, because the right brain is not developing the way our other neurotypical kids developing it, is kind of remain there. That's why it's hard to understand, and their anxiety level is even greater compared to the neurotypical kids, because they don't sense it, they don't get it, right? So that more even to our ASD kids and even adults, compared to the neurotypical kids, we have to be there more and help them that they are safe. Because they are left brain is continue to growing though. They're understanding, they're learning. So when you're asked them, I got it, I know, right? But the feeling is not connecting it, why you feel frustrated, how to relate and connect. So that social competencies has to be grown, especially when they are experiencing those kind of emotions. So zone of proximal development will be key, especially for our younger children, including high function autism.
The next one is about anxiety in children, in our children. So, for example, anxiety or even school refusal, transitions, anxiety about transitions is, I think, what the question is all about. How can we as parents, caregivers, help that? I'll start off with giving you an example. This school refusal struggle is another presenting problem sometimes to my practice, to our clinic. And one time it was so difficult that the child became physically violent when she was taken to school. Like, she's just like, I am not getting out of the car. And she would climb all the way to the trunk. So it must have been like an SUV or something like that. And she's like, I'm not getting out of here. So in that kind of extreme situation, her anxiety was generalized anxiety that led to a school refusal as a behavior. typically most children enjoy school. It's a very structured time, and they're learning. But when an extreme behavior like that is happening, we do have to evaluate it. So instead of two extremes, okay, don't go to school, which is against the law, by the way, right? Or constantly requesting for homeschooling. I don't recommend that either, unless it's a very special circumstance temporarily. And then the other extreme is literally physically forcing them, to school. That can become traumatic, right? So in this kind of situation, first getting an evaluation if there is extreme social anxiety. Is there an OCD going on? Like there could be anything that's happening. There could be even a delusion or a paranoia, right? We have to figure out the underlying cause of that anxiety. And then my other comment is for parents who struggle, helping their children with anxiety. Many times we discover they themselves have struggles with anxiety, and they haven't dealt with it. They haven't received help for it. And so to me, not that it physically happens, but I feel like the anxiety of a parent, it gets transmitted. And then somehow the child gets it too, right? It's felt in the room. And so if a parent is so anxious, and rightfully so, sometimes we have to check our own level of anxiety. Those are the few comments I would have about that question.
Yeah, I will just keep going back and referring to the brain development and mind development in here. Our young children who are refusing to go to school, yes, it is a sign of anxiety. But then we needed to understand what, right? Because we have understanding of maybe because of the friendship, maybe because of the performance, maybe because of out of control, all those things. But instead of making an assumption that this may cause my child's anxiety, again, I will get into her right brain or his right brain first. It seems like you look very anxious going to school. And soothing them with giving a hug, or tapping their body, so that it's calm. Okay, yeah. And then don't end it there. Once we're kind of reaching there, okay, understand must be very difficult, and wow, how hard that could be just going to school. People you don't know, teachers you don't know, and study will be very hard. All those things, oh, there's a lot. And then pause a little bit and using your left brain after again and say, okay, what could help? Let's think about it. Although you know the answer probably. Even if it take 5 extra minutes or 10 extra minutes, even 30 extra minutes, even hour extra minutes or hour extra, right? Late to be late to go to school, it's okay. Take your time and help them and understand. And then using left brain to the left brain. So what could be the way that we can help? But not going to school is not optional yet. We have to go to school. Is there something that we can do? What could be the things that can be helped? So now we have to help our children to use their left brain. It is awesome. What they came out, what they wanted it to do is reasonable. Oh, wow, that's a good idea. You wanted it to take a physics pen with you, or you wanted it to hide stuffed doll with you to soothe you. That's a good idea. I never thought about that. And then check with that after your child came back from home, school, as how was it? How was it today? Was it working? Now their confidence is growing. Now you can use that as evidence you did it. Do you remember yesterday you did it? The self-confidence is growing in that way. That while the confidence is growing now, self-esteem is also growing, because self-esteem is based on the feeling. Confidence is gaining by doing it. And then once you are growing this together, and oh, I did it yesterday, and then now adding more of evidence and information, now you will improve on self-efficacy. Now you know that you have ability to solve the problem, right? But has to go, again, one thing at a time. Just enough, right? Just enough the threshold that our children can handle it. Not to your level, not to their level where they're at. Then their anxiety will never go away or improve on. But from where they're at, just one step further, just zone of proximal development again. I would just use scaffolding it, just one step. Do you want it to go with you up to the classroom? I can do that. Right? Just kind of developing it slow so they know that they are okay, they feel safe. Mom got my back. So instead of, again, solving the problem, what to do with your own left brain, be there and help their fluid intelligence to develop by exercising it, especially if your children are within that range, 13 and 19.
I also want to remind everyone, and whoever is listening to this afterwards, sometimes, hopefully rarely, a reason for school refusal is bullying. And when we're asking our children, why don't you want to go to school? They won't mention it, right? They may not open up. So sometimes our questions have to be formulated where it's easy for them to answer, right? Is there anything at school that is scary? Is anything happening to you there? Is someone bothering you? To show that you're kind of aware that that could be a reason for not wanting to go to school. Is there a teacher like bothering you? Now, you don't want to go as far as to do suggestive, right? Like, is a teacher humiliating you or things like that? So sometimes I am very surprised when I'm questioning in the office and they've never shared it with anyone else. And suddenly we realize, oh, that was the underlying reason for the anxiety or refusal for anything. We have only a few minutes. Let me just check the chat room here if any other questions came in. Maybe to finalize, Dr. Mijin, you mentioned the concept of fluid intelligence and not just focusing on crystallized intelligence. Majority of our parents are very focused on improving crystallized intelligence. If you can give us just one last tip and advice of how we can focus on the fluid intelligence building.
Again, same concept that what we used today. Fluid intelligence is at the moments, right? At the moments when our children are struggling with anything, any issues, friends, anxiety, or feeling sad, not being accepted and all that, we first needed to be there. But the fluid intelligence is me doing it, not you doing it. Okay, I think I needed to use my head model of the brain. Okay, so I'm using this. This is from the Dr. Siegel. If you are interested in learning about the brain, how to teach your child about the brain, go to Google, I guess, a head model of the brain. So see that this is the brain, it's right here. Okay, what's happening is while this is a frontal lobe, right, parietal lobe, and connected to your spine, that when you flip, and the inside there is limbic system is connected to your spine as well. But this part is growing very sensitive way when our children are, especially inner parts of the brain. So what's happening is when our children are young, age 5, up to 5, up to 10, especially, our children's prefrontal lobe is not fully developed. They don't know how to schedule or how to plan, how to solve the problem as much. So what's happening is our parents to become their frontal lobe. So we are helping them. We are doing it for them so they don't have to use it as much. Right? And then now, age around 10, they started to understand the concept of other people rather than me, but us. Rather than I, but we. It's not only me, but others are there too. And then understanding the concept of a time. So now what we have to do is we have to let it go and slowly be next to them. But what's happening is we parents are so anxious. We're just stuck. We don't want to let go. And the parents and the kids are saying, Mom, let me do it. Let me go. Let me do it. Nope. You don't know yet. What do you know? And then constantly going in. Suddenly, when they become 18 and 19, okay, go do it by yourself. Oh, how terrifying that could be. But our parents, although this part emotionally now attached, and they're calling them, did you do it? Do you know what class that you need to take? Who are you hanging out with? You're not doing drug, right? We needed to let it go so that let them do it. So this part has to develop constantly by doing it. So the fluid intelligence will not gonna be learned by reading the textbook, by listening to you, quote unquote nagging. They have to do it and then see it. Oh, this doesn't work. Okay, what else do I have to do? That's the what we call fluid intelligence, right? So not by reading books, not by telling them what to do, but allowing, guiding, and encouraging them to do it so that they can increase, I can do this. Again, self-efficacy is our goal. They can believe themselves that they have the ability to learn.
Thank you, Dr. Mijin. We do have to wrap up. Oh, wow, it's such a packed 90 minutes, right? Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for Anchor of Hope. If you are interested in the next topic, I'll let you know right now on September 10th, it is on the very important topic of suicide. To learn more about that and how we can be an agent to help prevent the prevalence. And that is one of the goals of Oak Health Foundation, to reduce the rate and prevalence of suicide and increase awareness about mental health, especially in integrating it with our Christian faith. So if you want to be on our mailing list, please contact us. Our website is oakhealthfoundation.org, and you can stay updated. You could subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's another way. We're also on social media of Instagram and Facebook, Oak Health Foundation.